What is good, defenders, and welcome. We know what this week means. It's time for your favorite defenders of the bank pre-match segment. It's time for one more sleep. You know my voice, J.R. Liebert, the Scarf, and I cannot wait to drive to Carson. That's right, things I rarely say for 500, Alex. Cannot wait to go to Carson, baby. And with me, of course, from world famous Philomonster Studios, fresh off of interviewing one Eric Duenas for Soccer in 60. So you guys got to make sure you check that one out. I give you, wearing the OG retro kit, one Christian Philly Philemon.
What's up, Scarf? And hello to the millions
and millions
of defenders of the bank listeners. We are about ready to head in to Slugfest City, El Trafico, the 110 Collision, the Battle of Los Angeles, the LA Derby, whatever. The fact remains, Scarf, that this is the best rivalry in Major League Soccer. Hell is real. Okay. Hudson River Derby. Cool. Cascadia Cup, while the oldest. All right, but this is what you want to see. This is Major League Soccer's marquee. The headliners, the main event. This is the Rolling Stones, David Guetta, Cheap Trick live at Budokan, Taylor Swift, The Rock vs. Stone Cold, Ali vs. Frazier, King Kong vs. Godzilla. You get the point. If this match doesn't excite you and make you nervous, my friends, you don't have a pulse or a flair for the dramatics. It's matches like this, Scarf, why we love this game. Every story has its hero and villain. There is no Batman without the Joker. There is no LA Galaxy without LAFC. And I can't wait until tomorrow.
Philly, I got to tell you, man, there is nothing more exciting than Derby Week. We know what it means. We know what it's meant lately. Let's just talk about this year, Philly. This year, we've already played them twice. And it was deja vu all over again. Same scoreline in each match, 2-1. Same Denis Bouanga taking a penalty and scoring in each match. And Philly, I hate to say it, but the other thing we've done over the course of the first two matches is to bottle up Ricky Pooch so that he has not been able to be the incredible talisman. If you guys want to see some crazy stats, go look at Ricky Pooch and the amount of passes that he completes, the amount of ground that he covers. He is just a different animal than most players in Major League Soccer. But dare I say, what LAFC has done is made him look like a very timid pussycat compared to the way he dominates most of the rest of the league.
Ricky Pooch, he called him Richie, more like Richie Cunningham. Yes, all jersey tucked into the shorts. Who does that? He's the kind of kid that back in like the 70s, the jocks would wedgie and toss him in a locker until he actually, sprouted to puberty, which he obviously, is as tall as he is, and just got punked around, but got back. Look, he's a talented kid. I kind of went off on a ramble. None of that made sense in my head. I'm tired, but you're absolutely right. I can't believe this is going to be the 24th edition of this rivalry. And look, we're deadlocked. 9-5 is the record. There are a couple of cool things to know, though. Like, we've won 6 out of the last 7, which is really impressive. We obviously gained ground on the record. And when we win on Saturday, this will be the first time that either team has swept the other in an annual series. So this is going to be good stuff. So much to talk about. So many compelling lines. If there is something that scares me, Scarf, is that Ted Uncle is going to be the match official tomorrow.
Yeah, Philly, you know how we feel about Ted Uncle. But you know what? I got to be honest. I think the folks down in Carson might feel the same way, too. I think it's just because Ted Uncle is terrible. He's worse than his wife at being a referee, and he's just not very good. So, look, there's that. I'll tell you the other thing that gives me a little bit of consternation, Philly, something that you and I have been talking about a little bit, is that unfortunately on our back line, we know of a player that will certainly be out in Jesus David Murillo. But that being said, we get 6 guys, we hope, back from all of their international duty. And look, let's just get it out of the way right now, Philly. Marlon still has to get his visa cleared. Philly just mentioned in the chat, we don't believe that Marlon has his visa yet. He is likely not going to be playing, but I'm very excited. In case you guys didn't hear the news, 4 players today signed a first-team contract with LAFC, including the guy who I have been absolutely clamoring for. It sounds weird to say that about an 18-year-old, but
it sounds really weird to say that about an 18-year-old.
It really does. I am so excited to welcome the following 4 players. The biggest name in all of our preseason signings, other than Hugo Lloris, dare I say, David Ochoa, who will be a backup goalkeeper. Philly, you and I have no idea what the backup keeper situation is. We've had Thomas Asal. We've had David Ochoa. Obviously, we know where Abraham Romero has been lately. But David Ochoa is now getting the call up to the big club, which could mean, by the way, that we owe DC United some more money or something now that he's playing here. But that's cool. Striker Adrian Webowo comes up from LAFC 2, signs his first-team contract. Somebody who we should be a little bit more familiar with because he played in the U.S. Open Cup last year at Monterey Bay and at Carson, where Ricky Pooch celebrated scoring against 16-year-olds. That's Diego Rosales, who has been very, very good down at LAFC 2. So was Webowo. But the kid I have been really excited to see play is outside back number 42, Luca Bombino. All 4 of those guys signing first-team contracts. And let me be very clear, with the exception of potentially David Ochoa at some point down the road, I do not expect any of these guys to start contributing or playing any minutes, let alone significant minutes, unless there are several injuries at their position.
Yeah, this would have made sense to see them last week when we played Houston with nobody. But everybody is back, other than Jesus David Murillo, obviously, because of his knee. And hopefully Marlon is going to come in and have an impact when he does. I didn't hear Steve's press conference, but I could tell you, having dealt with P1 visa issues within the Major Arena Soccer League, the turnaround isn't that quick. How long they've been scouting Marlon, I couldn't tell you. To me, I don't even know if he would have been part of the team had it not been for Murillo getting hurt. So if that's the case, then it's probably going to still be a little bit before we get the P1. Obviously, still some time for him to get here, get to the Cal State LA Performance Training Center, and then acclimate to this team. So either way, even if he does have his P1 visa issue, I highly, highly doubt we'll see him until October. That's my guess, not my educated media savvy. Now, Scarf, going into Carson, it's not been it's not been fun for us. In the 11 all-time matches that we've competed against them, they're the dominant factor there. 7-2-2 with 24 goals for, 16 goals allowed. But we do know that these are always high-scoring affairs, averaging, 4.2 goals per game across all these 23 meetings. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wild. Both teams are going to want to do what they got to do to claw at one another. And look, how many times in the past have we been number 1 and number 2 going up against one another? They're number 1 with 4 points to spare, but they've also played a couple more games than we have. So we could easily catch up to them should we get the win against them and continue on with our play. But they're a very dangerous team. Very dangerous team. Without a doubt, the best Galaxy team that we have seen since LAFC has entered the league. Probably the best Galaxy team since they last won a cup back, 10 years ago before, I can't think of anything that happened 10 years ago. But before I moved to LA, that's for sure.
Look, Philly, this is a very good Carson squad. This is a Carson squad that repeatedly this season, and I have watched a lot of Carson soccer this season, repeatedly has come from either 0 points to steal a tie, or from tied to steal a win, or even from a goal down to a goal up real quick. And all of a sudden they go from 0 to 3 points. They have won a lot of matches they shouldn't have. They have drawn a lot of matches they should have lost. This is a Carson club. You said it. They are playing the best football in our 7 years of existence. And it's because of the killer P's. But Philly, what I am most excited about, I think Gabriel Peck is a ridiculous talent, and I'm sure we're going to talk about him. We all know Ricky Pooch is a ridiculous talent, but their over-the-top guy, the guy who really starts to create some space by making ridiculous runs over the top, Joseph Paintsil, will be out due to yellow card accumulation. And I have to say, that is as big of a loss as anybody else on that club except for Ricky Pooch, because of the space that he creates and the fact that we are down some center backs. I didn't love the idea, Philly, of either Omar Campos or Sergi Palencia or Ryan Hollingshead having to race backwards against a guy who I know is faster than them for sure. So with no Paintsel out there, Philly, I think that really weakens this offense for Carson.
Oh, 100%. And that goes without saying. And you can see how deadly they are when that dude gets out on the wings and sprints in towards the box. The chemistry there, yeah, you called it. The chemistry that these guys have in between each other, the Killer Peas, is awesome. If this wasn't the rivalry that it is, I say this would be a very fun team to watch because of their ability to connect passes and Ricky Pooch's number of touches and his efficiency. Yeah, totally exciting, but totally detrimental to them to lose somebody as talented as Paintsel. And from my vantage point, the way I'm going to say it is I would prefer Paintsel in there. I would want them as healthy as can be so we can go out there and win. I don't want to hang on to any of these excuses or asterisks or whatever the case is. Oh, well, if we had our full squad, this might have not been the case. I don't like these excuses. They happen a season, and a lot of things can happen, but I would prefer them at their ultimate best so we could go out there and elevate our game because we're going to bring our best anyway. But I want our best versus their best. That to me makes it more fun. But regardless, if it's the kids versus their Los Gros 2 team, it's still going to be fun because it is the derby.
Nothing like this matchup. And look, it's not just us saying it, right? Tom Bogert talked about his top 5 things to watch over the weekend, and there are some great matchups out there. There's Cucho versus Lucho, but he chose LAFC versus Carson because I will say this, geographically and honestly, throughout the entire media market of Major League Soccer, there is nothing like what the Derby has brought to the table for Major League Soccer. Major League Soccer can market Messi versus whoever they want. Major League Soccer can market any of the Cascadia derbies, the Hudson River Derby, or any of the other ones you mentioned. Hell is Real is kind of becoming a fun derby, if I'm being honest. But that being said, they don't clear their schedule for anything else like they clear the deck for Carson versus LAFC. And I cannot wait. And look, the good part is it's our third and final time. It doesn't feel like we've done this 4 or 5 or 6 times in a year. We've been made to do this a few times like a dog and pony show. No, this is a real, true rivalry match. And finally, we get to go beat Carson down in Carson.
100%. 100%. Yeah, let's just get into it, man. By the way, see Alan Hernandez saying Paintsel would have been out anyways. He had visa issues. The visa issues prevented him from joining the Ghana national team. That doesn't mean while he's here, he can't compete. Once you have your visa and ability to work here, you're in. It's not as if you're going to be working for a couple of months and all of a sudden, oops, problem with a visa. I know this because I've worked around it. And that's the thing that prevented him from really going to Ghana. Obviously, leaving is an issue. But while he's here, he wouldn't have sat out because of just visa issues.
Juan, what is good, my friend? All right, Philly, let's get into our players to watch. I'm choosing a couple of guys that should be no surprise. Look, we all know how the rest of this season is going to play out on Apple TV. They are going to look at how Carson will do and has done since the Marco Reus signing, and they are going to look at how LAFC has done since the Olivier Giroud signing. That's the bottom line. Those are 2 of the biggest names to ever join Major League Soccer, let alone to join this year mid-season, and that is where the coverage is going to be. How are the 2 biggest signings in the league this year, other than Luis Suarez, I guess, because he signed at the earlier part of this year, how are these 2 big names going to fare, quote unquote, against each other? They likely won't come within 15 yards of each other most of the time unless they're defending corner kicks. But we know what happened. Marco Reus came out and got off to a blazing start in his first match with a goal and an assist, and it's taken Olivier a little time to get off the ground. In fact, the one goal he has scored was a flat-footed header while being held from behind. We're still waiting for any of those incredible acrobatics that we have seen on all of the highlight reels. So it is going to be the matchup that I predict Apple TV is going to be talking a ton about, and it is going to be the matchup that I will have my eye on. The Dortmund legend that is Marco Reus against the French national team's all-time leading scorer and our new number 9, Olivier Giroud.
I like it. I mean, that's going to get the world's attention, of course. Dortmund people, because that's the only place that Roy spent his career.
Yep.
Olivier, that's going to ignite the entire country of France. It'll ignite AC Milan supporters, Chelsea supporters, Arsenal supporters. There's just so much to say about that. But like to your point, Olivier hasn't found his ground just yet, but that's not to say that he won't. I did caution early on, and you bared witness to that. I said, be cautious, be careful about putting all your hopes in a 38-year-old striker that has yet to learn the system. But once he fires and clicks on all cylinders, that's going to be a problem. But this is, at the end of the day, Denis Bouanga's team. He is in the running for the Golden Boot, but Scarf, he is not my player to watch. Shocking. Ricky Puig is for the Galaxy for a lot of the reasons that you would already turn to. The kid's a phenomenal talent, and when he's on his game, this is a team that is tough. They're utterly brutal in transition. He can drop a pass on a dime. He is insane when it comes to playing his position. One of the best to do it in Major League Soccer. As far as LAFC is concerned, I'm excited about Matty Bogusz. He came off of his first caps with Poland. His first game, he gets to line up alongside Robert Lewandowski and compete against the Croatia side that had Luka Modric. And as far as Matty Bogusz's performance is concerned, he was all right. 92% pass ratings. Didn't have so much in way of shots on goal or whatever, but he's going to come in fired up, having tasted international success playing for his senior team. And I think he is going to be huge in tomorrow's game, as he's been huge for us all season long.
Yeah, look, Matty Bogusz and Ricky Puig might be two of the 3 or 4 best midfielders in Major League Soccer right now. And it might not even be that close. Those guys are going to be so much fun to watch. And I am predicting, Philly, you have an incredible choice here in Matty Bogusz. We all know what happened when Kike Oliveira got to go with the Uruguayan national team, got some actual run in, and came back a different animal for sure. I'm predicting that Robert Lewandowski and the Polish national team, even though they have been awful for the last year or two, I am predicting they are going to have that same effect on Matty Bogusz, that he comes back over and he raises his game. And watch, Philly's going to be right. Matty's going to have like a brace and an assist by the time this thing is over.
Keys to the game.
Keys to the match, very simple. Own the 18s. We have watched Carson over and over again this season in 2 separate matches be able to complete all kinds of passes and have all kinds of possession from box to box. But what LAFC needs to do, like we have done for the first 2 matches this year, is figure out a way to continue to make Carson the best box-to-box team in Major League Soccer. But when it comes to the 18, when it comes to defending our space, and when it comes to owning set pieces, corner kicks, and set pieces that bring a ball into the box, LAFC needs to own this. We have players like Kai Kamara and Olivier Giroud, and I'm also going to throw in Maxime Chanot there as well, who have been aerial supremacists for the last several months for LAFC. And frankly, we need to keep guys out of the box. Cucho put on a clinic in terms of exactly what you are supposed to do against LAFC. And dare I say, we could even go back to what Ponce did in the box 2 matches ago for Houston. We need to make sure that LAFC turns Galaxy into a box-to-box club and owns the 18s. And I'm predicting we're going to need 1 or 2 more of those spectacular Hugo Lloris saves so that we can come away with all 3 points on the road.
Maybe 6 or 7 of those beautiful saves, maybe 8 or 9. He's going to need to be on his game, no question, because he's going to be facing a lot. That goes without saying. In the chat, Football Foo goes, LAFC need to sign Aaron Hernandez. That I don't disagree. The problem is he died back in 2017, so I don't think he's available. If anything, he's just going to be all bones on the pitch. There's my little cheesy joke. As far as keys to the game, I want to address something that was said in the Instagram chat by Patrick79896, and I couldn't agree more. Squad form standings have never seemed to matter in this fixture. It's going to be a slugfest for 90 minutes. And I agree. None of that does matter. So to me, the key to the game is to be ruthless. X's and O's go out the window. When these two teams meet, it is that slugfest, which is why I opened up the show with Slugfest City. These two teams don't like each other. The supporters don't like each other. The front offices don't like each other. While they might tolerate each other, they don't like each other. Their front office is successful because it had shades of our front office all over it. Shout out Will Kuntz in that respect. He's really who the MVP is on the Galaxy. Former LAFC guy. And he went to law school with my buddy Max Price, by the way, at Fordham. Go Rams. But being ruthless is the key to this game. Hostile environment. It'll be a wild game. Everyone's going to be aggressive and playing chippy. LAFC needs to be ruthless. They need to not give them any space, any inches. They need to go for the jugular immediately, cut off that carotid artery that is the midfield, and absolutely decimate them time and time again. No hope, no luck, no nothing. Be ruthless, leave nothing unturned, no stones untouched. Kill, kill, kill.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. Everyone who said it in the chat, everyone who's thinking it out there, okay, we'll just show my score right now. That's fine.
Sorry.
Everyone who said it in the chat, you're absolutely right. Derby matches, score doesn't matter, form doesn't matter. It's going to be fun. But Philly, let me ask you a quick question. What was the score of the match the first time we played them this year?
2-1.
2-1. What was the score of the match the second time we played them this year?
2-1.
I know it's a very dramatic reveal. Philly, will you reveal my score for the third time we played them this year? That's right. 2-1. Why do I think it'll be 2-1? Well, not only has history repeated itself twice already this year, but I think what LAFC also has this season that we maybe have not had in many seasons past is we have a back line in Sergi Palencia, in Ryan Hollingshead, in Maxime Chanot, and Aaron Long, who maybe with the exception of Sergi Palencia, who has been unreal in certain moments this season, is as vanilla as it gets. But what I will say is this. If y'all have ever had Carvel's vanilla ice cream, you will know that something is just special about that soft serve vanilla ice cream down at Carvel. And with Hugo Lloris being the rainbow sprinkles on top of our cup of Carvel vanilla ice cream in the back, there is nothing sweeter than what LAFC has done with our back line this season. And we are calm, we are cool, we are collected, and we are not giving up a lot of the silly, stupid goals that we have given up in seasons past. We have been great on set pieces for most of the season, even though I know we've given up 8 or 9 goals on set pieces. We have been excellent in the run of play this season, and we have given up some of the fewest goals in the Western Conference this year for a reason. Our defense is superior. And when we can get players like Kike Oliveira, players like Timothy Tillman, players like Denis Bouanga to continue to buy into a total team defensive concept and backtrack into our own box to win headers and clear, something I think Olivier Giroud is going to help us out with as well. If we continue to defend the way that we defend, the way that we are able to counter on top of that defense with the midfield that we have and with the strikers that we have, it is going to be much lower scoring than we are used to in previous years. Dare I say, deja vu all over again, 2-1 LAFC.
I'm going to go with the averages of it being over 4.2 goals per game. It hasn't been that way this season. I do think we are going to win, but again, above the 4.2 score line. We're going to win by a margin of 3-2. It's going to be an exciting back and forth effort. And I think we're all going to be overjoyed by the fact that LAFC is going to pull that third goal late in the game, propelling us to victory. I don't have any insight telling me and all this. I don't have a crystal ball. Believe you me, if I did, I'd have plenty. I'd own leagues if I had a crystal ball predicting the future. But 3-2 is the scoring line that I think is going to happen. We're going to see both veterans score in this game, meaning I do think Marco Reus is going to have a goal. I do think Olivier Giroud is going to have a goal. But that being the case, I think Denny Bouanga, Matty Bogusz are as well, and maybe Gabriel Peck. Those are my choices for the goals. Low-hanging fruit, perhaps, but those are the goal-scoring threats for both sides. I like how you chose Reus versus Giroud because I firmly believe both of them are going to score, and they're going to enjoy this rivalry just as much as we do. But that being said, we win in Dignity Health Sports Park. We sweep the series for the first time ever. We have the better record versus them for the first time ever. And we ride into the sunset with this big victory, gaining grounds on them. This could be the best El Trafico we've seen until possibly the 25th edition. That will more than likely be in the playoffs.
Yeah, the important thing to know about this one is that this is pretty much the very definition of a six-pointer. Galaxy, unfortunately, are ahead of us in the standings, but if you look at matches in hand and points that can still be earned, when LAFC takes all 3 points away from Carson in this one, then it is going to really spell trouble for them for the rest of the season, because now they're only 1 point up on us with 2 matches in hand for LAFC, and that is not the place that Carson wants to be. This is the very definition of a six-pointer. It is going to be an incredible environment, even though it's down in Carson. And it's just, look, 24th, I can't help but think, Kobe, the last place where he filmed any of his advertisements and everything, that was at BMO Stadium. So maybe Kobe's looking out for us a little bit too. And on the 24th meeting of Carson versus LAFC, we predict to finally go ahead of them in the overall record, 10 wins to 9 with 5 draws apiece. I've got 2-1. Philly's got 3-2. We see all kinds of fun scores in the chat, but what's going to be most important is what Philly just mentioned. Break out the brooms, y'all. It is going to be a sweep down in Carson.
I just want to say that, look, even the atmosphere there when it's this rivalry is still pretty good. If you go catch a game in Carson when they're playing Vancouver, it's like going to a college soccer game. I'd hate to say it. I call games in the Big West. It's that kind of environment. The Galaxy supporters, they do bring the ruckus, mainly when LAFC comes into town, which is why they should be rolling out the red carpet for us, because we helped them elevate their game. While we were proactive, they were reactive in actually, what's the word I'm looking for? They were reactive rather than proactive. We were the exact opposite. The reason they're even at this pinnacle right now is because of us. Fact of the matter is us. They thought we would be another Chivas USA. We weren't. We showed them very quickly that that wasn't the case. And while they did beat up on us quite a bit early on, the tides and the tables have completely turned. I am wearing black today, Scarf. I will be wearing black tomorrow. I assume many of you will also be wearing black. A good portion of that reason being is because, well, it's our colors. But you wear black when you go to a funeral and when you're about to bury or cremate somebody. And luckily for the Galaxy, they don't have to go too far to get buried, because we are going to dig up a hole in their own backyard, toss Peck, toss Pooch, toss Cosmo. We are going to wipe the floor with the Cosmonauts in their own arena. LA is black and gold. There is only one team in LA, and there's only one LA-based team, period, in Major League Soccer. That is LAFC, the gold standard of Major League Soccer.
You are absolutely right. Just want to remind everybody, if you're going to the match, be smart and be safe. Everybody who goes to the match wants to go home to their families after the match. Don't do anything stupid. Don't let any of the Carson fans let you do anything stupid or goad you into doing anything stupid. And go home at the end of the night. Go out with all your friends to celebrate afterwards. But be careful, be safe, be smart. We all know what the Derby can bring out in people. Everybody wants to go home at the end of the night. Carson fans might not want to go home because they got beat so badly, but let's allow them to go home. We want to get out of Carson as quickly as possible. Let's be smart about how we're getting home. But please, everybody out there, we want you to join us on our next episode in 2 days after we talk about this big win. We don't want to have to talk about having to go visit you in the hospital or having to go bail you out of jail or having to go do anything else that's stupid. Be smart, be safe, and get home at the end of the night. That's all I got, Philly.
I couldn't said it any better myself. I gave my whole soapbox earlier. So that being the case, we're winning. But when you say we're going to go home safe after we win tomorrow, Dignity Health Sports Park is our home. So there we have it.
There you go.
There we have it.
All right, y'all. 3-2 for Philly, 2-1 for me. Bye.
Let's go.